Welcome to That's Good Sports. I am Brandon. If I were single, Martha Ford would be the number one widow I tried to court, Perna. She's 94 years old, and yet the only thing dying more quickly in the NFC North is the Packers Super Bowl window. The Vikings feel like the team that will rise in 2020, and God bless the Bears for patiently waiting out their prison sentence with Mitch Trubisky. They are truly handcuffed, unless the shackles are broken by one Big Dick Nick mid-season. This week, I will recap the offseason for the NFC North in 2 videos. I got a little carried away and had to break this bad boy up because it was way too long. So today is the Lions and Packers. Tomorrow or the next day, I will drop the Bears/Vikings episode. And I know what you're thinking. You're not Tom Grassi. Why are you talking about the Packers? Well, if you stay tuned to the end of this video, you might just be treated with a Tom Grassi appearance. Grassi posse. Oh shit, my show. That's Good Sports. Please subscribe to this YouTube channel. It would be very kind of you. I do football videos all the time here. I do have an announcement for Patreon. Our Zoom meeting for patrons only, for all $5 patrons, will be May 21st, Thursday, 6:30 Mountain Standard Time. I will set that appointment for you in Patreon. Now, your big dick Patreon shoutouts. The Real Slim Jimothy upping to $5. Max Patterson for $20 donation. Wonder what that means. Poo Poo Pee Pee Caca. Master PS Aliens Are Real. Deal with it. These names are getting out of hand. Henrik Dittmar. Eric. King Salami. Jacob. The Husky K9 upping to $10. Lishish. Use, that's how I taste, it's where my name comes from. Brandon is a closet Bills fan, and I know what else he does in the closet. Brandon, I don't say this enough, but Josh Allen looks great in shorts, Perna. Robert Silverio, hashtag Ravens baby, hashtag Big Truss, hashtag Dat Bird, hashtag Nevermore, hashtag Caca cocksuckers. This is the most bizarre set of names I've ever read. Brandon, the best soon-to-be dad ever, Perna. Amber said yes. Oh wow, you asked Amber to get married via my Patreon, and she said yes. That's a great reason for you to support this channel, patreon.com/thatsgoodsports. Again, today's about Lions, Packers, so let's start with Detroit. The Lions finished 3-12-1 last season, and that one was not a tie against the Cardinals as you might think. It represents the Lions' now annual mention in the hit series Ozark.
I watching the Detroit Lions sucking.
Detroit Lions, Marty had better sense than that.
The sad thing about the Lions is that no matter what they did this offseason, their head coach is still Matt Patricia. And that's what's ultimately going to tank them this season. How many times did Matthew Stafford suffer microfractures in his back before Patricia arrived? Oh, that's crazy, Brandon. That's a coincidence. Well, you tell me how having a coach hell-bent on posture doesn't lead to microfractures in your quarterback's back.
Do me a favor, just kind of sit up and just have a little respect for the process. Every day you come in and ask me questions and you just kind of give me this. But I mean, just be a little respectful. I'm asking just to be a little respectful in this whole process, okay? So ask me a question professionally and I'll answer it.
Not so crazy when you think about it. Maybe Stafford tried a little too hard to please the NFL's #1 pencil pusher and hurt his back. Now let's discuss the key free agent losses and additions for Detroit. Despite the 3-12-1 record, John Elway raided the Lions free agent, signing punter Sam Martin, quarterback Jeff Driscoll, and most notably center Graham Glasgow. The big departure for Detroit, though, was corner Darius Slay, who they traded to the Eagles for a 3rd and 5th round draft pick rather than pay the 3 years $50 million that Slay ultimately got from Philly. The Packers signed Lions tackle Rick Wagner, leaving 2 holes for the Lions to fill on their offensive line. The Lions went out and got Desmond Trufant, corner from the Falcons, as the immediate replacement for Darius Slay, and also added former Patriots Jamie Collins and Danny Shelton to bolster the defensive front. Also traded a 5th rounder for Pat safety Duron Harmon, totaling 4 former Patriot defenders projected to start on the Lions defense. Then you got Danny Amendola in there somewhere. The Collins signing probably won't age well considering he only tries in New England. They did sign Halapoulivaati Vaitai, who filled in a lot recently for Jason Peters at left tackle in Philly, so he'll become the Lions' new tackle. If Vaitai continues to improve like he did in Philly, he could be the most keyest free agent they acquired and should be an upgrade over Wagner. The other keyest signing might be quarterback Chase Daniel, whose career earnings have now hit $34 million, and his presence guarantees a backup quarterback will never be needed. So, smart move, Detroit. Overall, their collective draft grade was a B+. It feels like a net zero though when you swap Slay for Okudah, but Okudah is a better option financially and has a chance to become better than Slay in the long run. The Lions also took guards Jonah Jackson and Logan Sternberg in the 3rd and 4th round, which seems way too logical after losing center/guard Graham Glasgow. Later in the draft, they picked up DeAndre Swift, who was probably a steal in the 2nd round as Detroit beat the rush on running backs. My favorite thing about Swift is it looks like he's trying to stomp the back of Sean Crawford in this photo. Talk about taking the name running back too literally. In the 3rd round, they took Notre Dame defensive end Julian Okwara to pair with Trey Flowers, but of course the crown jewel was none other than Utah defensive tackle John Penisini, who Detroit took in the 6th round. Now you look at that bush on Matt Patricia's face and you realize he needs a strong Penisini to go with it. Honestly, the Lions should get an A+ for drafting our favorite named player, John Penisini. Now my biggest key to addressing the team's off seasons in these videos are going to be, do they still have a good quarterback? Do the Lions still have a good quarterback? Every offseason is irrelevant unless this is a yes. So yes, Stafford, still good, but doesn't matter. Matthew Stafford is the Lions' silver lining, and I just want him to get a different playbook. He played 8 games last season and was on pace for close to 5,000 passing yards and 38 to 40 touchdowns. It's basically Jameis Winston without the interceptions. At some point, I want to see Matthew Stafford when he's not tied to this sinking ship of a team. And I say that as someone who has rooted for the Lions as perpetual underdogs since the days of Barry Sanders. They could have grabbed Tua with the 3rd pick and tried to sell off Stafford for some picks, but this isn't a seller's market for quarterbacks for maybe the first time ever. Players for the Lions I'll be watching in 2020. The pairing of DeAndre Swift and Kerryon Johnson to finally maybe give the Lions a formidable rushing attack that feels like it's been missing since, again, Barry Sanders. Reggie Bush was their last 1,000-yard rusher in 2013, then it was Kevin Jones in 2004. Tight end TJ Hawkinson should make a leap in year 2. Only 2 touchdowns last year, and his best game was week 1 against the Cardinals when he put up 131 yards. That was the only 100-plus receiving performance from the rookie. Like Stafford, he had injury issues and was put on IR after week 12. But I see big things if both he and Stafford remain healthy, aided by Kenny Golladay and the underrated Marvin Jones catching balls. My personal arbitrary grade for the Lions this offseason is 3 out of 5 pencils. Added some good players, but ultimately they're screwed from the top down, which is only a positive thing if you're a bottle cap or enjoy 69ing. The Lions probably have an under-the-radar roster and could be a sleeper team if Stafford is healthy. Now, the Green Bay Packers. The Packers' primary goal this offseason was to piss off Aaron Rodgers, and oh boy, they succeeded. They nailed that. This was a 13-3 team that made it to the NFC Championship game, and sure enough, they went out and did everything in their power to make sure they will not get over the hump. They are the hump. They are the camel, and all they did was acquire hay to break Aaron Rodgers' fucking back. Basically, the Packers front office wants to be the personnel version of Anthony Barr's body weight. Key free agent losses and additions for the Packers. During the 2019 offseason, the Colts had all of the cap space in the world and a presumed returning elite quarterback in Andrew Luck. Their biggest need was wide receiver, and the guy they signed to save Andrew Luck, Devin Funchess. Enter the 2020 season. The Colts do not re-sign Funchess, and his season was ruined by injuries. The Packers follow in Indy's 2019 footsteps and sign Devin Funchess to address their biggest need. Think about this. Maybe the Packers think the reason Andrew Luck retired was Devin Funchess, and they, for some odd reason, are hoping Funchess gets Aaron Rodgers to do the same damn thing. That's smart GMing. Now, they didn't re-sign right tackle Bryan Bulaga, and they replaced him with the far less talented Ricky Wagner out of Detroit, and they happily let Jimmy Graham go to the Bears. Linebacker Blake Martinez is gone, and the Packers are hoping his production will be replaced by boom or bust free agent Christian Kirksey. Kirksey is a more naturally talented linebacker, came in on the cheap, but that's because he's been hurt the last 2 seasons. If healthy though, this could be the Packers' smartest offseason move, and a natural fit with Mike Pettin, who he played with in Cleveland. The consensus draft grade for the Packers is F. And that stands for fucked. They managed to become the first team to actively get worse during the draft by significantly screwing with the morale of the best player on the team. The only team that could do that prior was the Patriots. And even their 6 Super Bowl wins weren't enough to keep their quarterback after they disrespected his talent by not giving him enough Caucasian receivers to throw to. Key players, though, drafted by the Packers. The shocking pick, of course, was trading up for Utah State quarterback Jordan Love, a pick nobody loved. This pick, though, didn't address any immediate needs, and it sets the timer for Aaron Rodgers to leave Green Bay. And that's assuming Jordan Love will be very good. This is a friendly warning, Packers fans. The chances of replacing a Hall of Fame quarterback with another almost certainly will not happen 3 times in a row. That can't happen 3 times in a row. Beyond that perplexing first move, they didn't address their biggest need, wide receiver, in a historic wide receiver class. Not in the first, not in the second, not anywhere. Instead, their next 2 picks were running back A.J. Dillon out of Boston College to back up last season's touchdown leader Aaron Jones, even though his backup Jamal Williams was my favorite backup running back in the league, who had 6 total touchdowns last year, and then Josiah DeGuara out of Cincinnati, a tight end I have never heard of that they want to convert to H-back, a position that really doesn't make sense, was a huge reach in addition in the 3rd round as he was a 6th round projection. Do they still have a good quarterback? Yes, absolutely. Although I don't know if they think that's the case. Aaron Rodgers has declined a little bit, but still threw 26 touchdowns and just 4 picks in a season where they leaned more heavily on the run. And not to mention adjusting to a new offense and having to learn to wax Matt LaFleur's eyebrows as a dickish coach flex. To be positive here, Devontae Adams, still great. Alan Lazard earned Aaron Rodgers' trust, and maybe Valdez-Scantling can take the next step. And there's reason to believe their defensive front could be even better. Just like Tom Grassi is better at breaking down the Packers than I am. Tom, take it away.
So you think the Packers had a garbage offseason? It makes sense. I can understand why you feel that way. The Packers, in the draft, didn't get a receiver. 1st round pick on a quarterback that's not going to see the field for at least 2 years. A running back when we had Aaron Jones, who was just incredible last year. What are the Packers doing? I can say that the Green Bay Packers probably won't regress too much. The biggest player we lost was Bryan Bulaga. We replaced him with Ricky Wagner, which is a little bit of a downgrade, but we should be okay because we also drafted 3 offensive linemen. On top of that, we also got Devin Funch. Okay, maybe don't count that as a good thing. With the addition of Martin and Kirksey, that'll be better than Blake Martinez on the team, so that's a plus. You might point to our lack of wide receivers or lack of running defense, and how I would respond to that would be, you're not wrong. Instead, we just have to hope that the Packers wide receivers make that next step. And for the run defense, yeah, that one I don't know. Maybe sacrifice something, pray to some kind of deity. But I do know this, Packers fans. Aaron Rodgers is still the QB of this team for the next 5 minutes. And those next 5 minutes are going to be wonderful. And when Aaron Jones and everybody leaves this team next year, just leaving out a hollowed husk of a team and me drowning in tears, I know that I can simply just start a warm bath and bring this little guy in to keep me warm.
Make sure you give Tom Grassi a sub, especially if you love Green Bay in fan reaction videos. He's crushing it right now on YouTube. Very funny, very good at what he does. Check him. Overall, my arbitrary offseason score for the Packers is this. You've heard the phrase, 2 steps forward, 1 step back, right? We'll just flip that. 1 step forward, 2 steps back. That was the Packers offseason. 2019 for the Packers was a major overachievement. They were growing pains, and now, with all of those step backs, they are step by step, which is growing pains without any of the star power. A worse version of a nearly identical show. Sorry, Packers fans. But again, stay tuned for the Bears-Vikings episode coming up as soon as I can finish it. Thanks for watching another episode of That's Good Sports. Please subscribe here on YouTube and share this video with all of those Lions and Packers fans on Earth. Twitter, Instagram, @BrandonPerna.